Welcome back to the Intuitive Strength Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. My name is Bri Ogletree. I am a habit-based virtual trainer teaching busy people, busy professionals, how to make fitness work for them and their unique lifestyle. This week is all about the fat facts. We are talking all about fats and how to eat fats to support your health and your fitness goals. We're going to cover things like why you need fats in your diet, the two different categories or types of fat that we consume, and examples of each of those, the biggest contributor to overall health when it comes to fat consumption, how much of each type of fat to consume, what types of fats to avoid, and fat consumption versus carbohydrate consumption and how to balance the two. So we're going to talk about a lot today, but I'm also going to give you some action steps when it comes to consuming fat so that you can walk away with some actionable things that you can start to do to make sure that you're consuming the right amount of fats and the right types of fats to support your overall health and fitness goals. If you haven't been following along, I've been doing several episodes on nutrition for the last 7 weeks or so. There's about 7 different episodes that all talk about and dive into different topics around nutrition. So if this is something that you want more information on, you want more guidance on when it comes to portion control, different types of macronutrients, how much of each macronutrient you should be consuming, all of these episodes, including this one, so it'd be 8 episodes, all go into those different topics. So definitely make sure you check out those episodes as well. There's only going to be a few that are on video right now. Most of them are just audio. I just started filming a few weeks ago. They're definitely all still on the podcast. If you would like to see more episodes around nutrition, be sure to give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing, and leave a comment below on what subject or what nutrition topic you would like me to talk about next. Okay, so let's dive into it. Let's talk about the importance of fat in our diet or in the foods that we eat. So fat is a macronutrient. Your body does need dietary fat or fat that we get from food for a bunch of different reasons. And a few of them are, number one, it's a huge energy source. Your body actually uses fat as an energy source when we're doing very low intensity exercises and when we're at rest. So it is the energy source that your body goes to when we are, we're just sitting, when we are resting, when we are doing very low energy or low intensity activities like walking or even just your everyday daily activities. Your body is going to use fat as an energy source. So that's number one. Fat is also used to manufacture and balance out your hormones. Fat also helps make up and build plasma membranes in your cells on the cellular level. So the structure of your cells relies on dietary fat. Fat is also important for the transport of certain vitamins like vitamins A, D, E, and K. And lastly, essential fats or essential fatty acids, so fats that your body can't make on its own, like your omega-3 and your omega-6s, we have to acquire those from food. So it's very important that we get these essential fatty acids in our diet and in what we're eating so that we can have them in our body to carry out the important processes that they do. There are 2 types of fat that you consume. There are saturated fats and there are unsaturated fats. Saturated fats are mainly found from animal sources, but things like cocoa butter and palm oil also have saturated fats in them. Saturated fats are often categorized as unhealthy, but your body actually needs some saturated fats to carry on certain processes in the body. So we do need some. Health risks in relation to saturated fats tend to increase when we also combine that with high consumption of saturated fats and 1 or 2 other lifestyle dietary choices that we're making that are not conducive to our health. So usually it's in that combination is where we start to see high risks for things like high cholesterol or heart disease. So your body does need some saturated fats in the diet in order to maintain and optimize your health. Unsaturated fats consist of mono and polyunsaturated fats. So there's 2 different types of categories. Your monounsaturated fats are things like avocado, olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, and various nuts like almonds, hazelnuts, pecans, and pumpkin seeds. Your polyunsaturated fats are things like corn, flaxseed oil, flax seeds, fish, and canola oil. Notice how canola oil has an overlapping, it's in the mono and the polyunsaturated fats. A lot of these sources of fat have both. They have both poly and mono unsaturated fats in them. It's just the ratios of the two. They may have them in varying different ratios, the mono and the polyunsaturated fats in the same food. When it comes to consuming fat to support your health, what's really important is the ratios of the fats that you're consuming. So back to when I talked about saturated fats, and high consumption of saturated fats can actually be detrimental to your health. Really talking about the ratios of your saturated fats to your mono and polyunsaturated fats. So we want to make sure that we're eating a balance of those three types of fats. The average omega-6 to omega-3 in the modern diet, especially in the United States, is anywhere from 16 to 1 to 20 to 1, which is way out of proportion. Many, many years ago, it used to be something like 1 to 1 ratios, 1 to 3, 1 to 4 ratio between that range, which is a much better, much more ideal ratio when it comes to omega-6 to omega-3 fat consumption. So the ratios is really what we want to pay attention to. And a way that we can do that is to just actively seek out omega-6 sources of fat. So things like fish, chia seeds, so things like salmon, chia seeds, walnuts, oysters, soybeans, things with high concentrations of omega-3. So we want to make sure that we're getting a good amount of those in our diet in order to balance out those omega-6s that are probably already pretty present. So we want to aim for a ratio of anywhere from 1 to 1 to 1 to 4. It comes to the ratio between our omega-6s and our omega-3s. And just make sure we're actively seeking out those omega-3s to balance out those omega-6s. Benefits to doing this on a cellular level would be that we would increase insulin sensitivity, which is a great preventative measure for things like diabetes. It also keeps our cells fluid, which means that they can talk to each other a little bit better, and it is an anti-inflammatory property. So we, again, want to seek out omega-6s to reap these benefits. The serving size. So let's talk about serving sizes for dietary fat. So for women, a starting point would be a thumb-sized serving, so the size of your thumb, and then for men, it would be 2 thumb sizes for dietary fat. Again, this is just a starting point. Your activity levels and your lifestyle is obviously going to play a role in how much you consume overall across the macronutrients, but that's a good starting point to kind of figure out what's right for you. If you're interested in a free guide about everything we talked about today, all of the fat facts, there is a link in the description box and the show notes below, wherever you're listening to / watching this episode. And it's going to go over everything that we talked about today. It's just a quick reference guide to help you kind of navigate consuming fats on a daily basis. We're going to talk about what fats to avoid next. So you've probably heard of trans fats. Trans fats are actually a result of manufacturing of fats. There's a process that fats go through known as hydrogenation, which makes them hydrogenated oils. These oils are pretty tough for your body to process. You can find them in some of our favorite foods. A common example of this would be some of our favorite peanut butter brands. Unfortunately, a lot of them have hydrogenated oils if they're not the natural version of that peanut butter. They can increase risk for things like coronary heart disease, cancer, and other chronic diseases. So that's something that we definitely want to avoid for the sake of our health. Of course, when it comes to peanut butter, there's other options. There's natural options out there. I'm very picky when it comes to my peanut butter choices. I like my peanut butter creamy, like some of those favorite peanut butter brands, and that I don't have to stir. But there are natural peanut butters out there. Some of those brands do make their own natural versions that don't have hydrogenated oils in them. There's other brands out there as well that make them just as creamy, just as delicious. So just make sure that we're actively seeking out foods that do not have hydrogenated oils or trans fats in them. Again, for the sake of our health. The last thing we're going to talk about today is fat versus carb consumption, and as it relates to exercise. So I am a virtual trainer, so of course I'm going to relate it back to exercise. And basically the guidance here is just to have an inverse relationship between your fat consumption and your carb consumption. And that's really going to support your fitness. So for example, on non-workout days, it makes sense to have a higher fat consumption and a lower carbohydrate consumption. Why is that? Because your body is at rest, right? We're doing more low intensity activity, like maybe we're walking, maybe we're, just working. Maybe we're doing some stretching, but we're not really doing an intense workout that day. So it doesn't make sense to consume that many carbohydrates. So on those days, we want to bring our fat intake a little bit higher than our carbohydrate intake. So there's kind of an inverse relationship between your fat consumption and your carbohydrate consumption. On training days, we want to have a lower fat consumption and a higher carbohydrate consumption. Again, this goes back to your training. So if you have a strength training workout or a lifting workout, we want to get some carbohydrates in because we want our food to support our training. Carbohydrates are the ideal source of fuel when it comes to high intensity activities like lifting weights, like HIIT training, interval training, any type of high intensity activity that you're doing. Carbohydrates are gonna be your ideal fuel source. So we wanna make sure that we're getting some carbohydrates in before our workout and after our workout. So that's gonna come at, not the cost of fats, but we're gonna trade out some of those fats for some carbohydrates. So that inverse relationship on non-workout days, we wanna have higher fat consumption, lower carbohydrate consumption. And then on workout days, higher carbohydrate consumption, lower fat consumption. And a caveat to that is fat actually slows down our digestion. So on training days or workout days, we don't want that to happen because we want our bodies to use those fuel sources. So those carbohydrates, that protein, for fuel and for recovery. So the last thing we want to do is slow down our digestion. So having a lower fat consumption that day is going to help with our digestion and help us get that carbohydrate and protein fuel into our bloodstream so that we can use it for our workouts and so we can use it to recover as well. All right, so that's gonna be it for fats. I think you have everything you need to understand fats, why they're important for your health, what to consume, how much to consume of fats, the types and the ratios to consume. But I'm gonna leave you with some action steps. So number one is gonna be to download that Fat Facts resource guide that I created for you. It's in the link below, so just click on the link, put your name and email, and you'll get it immediately. And that'll help you kind of navigate moving forward, how much fat to eat, the ratios, all of that. So make sure you get that PDF. The second action step is going to be to audit your current fat consumption. So the types of fats that you're eating, how much you're eating, and how often. Don't change anything about the way that you're doing things now. Just take notice of the types of fat and the amount of fat that you're consuming. The last action step is going to be to figure out what you can add. More than likely, it's going to be omega-3s that you're going to need to add back into your diet. So let's just start adding some of those really omega-3 rich sources back into your diet. That is going to be all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button. Please consider subscribing to my channel for more videos like this. And you can leave a comment below and let me know what other nutrition topic you'd like me to talk about. If you're on the podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. Please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you found this particular episode helpful, definitely share it with a friend who may also find it helpful as well if they're looking for some more guidance on their nutrition. And lastly, grab the Fat Facts PDF below. It's free and it can serve as a guide moving forward on types of fats to consume and in what amounts. All right, that's it for today. I will talk to you guys later and have a good rest of your week. Bye.